Welcome, everybody, to the Onward VR Master League. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's. I am joined by the Sky Joker for a Father's Day Venues broadcast. It is a hype matchup, Silent Purge versus BossFight. And Sky, you got any shout-outs to any fathers out there today?
Oh, yes. All the fathers and father players alike. We are glad to have you. And this is, I mean, just a wonderful day to be here.
Oh, yeah. It's a hype Sunday. We got 2 matches getting broadcast to venues. This is the first one today. There will be about a couple-hour break between that and the next one. But yes, it is a Father's Day battle. A quick shout out to my father. Appreciate him supporting me in my endeavors and pursuing what is sometimes crazy hobbies. Sometimes they lead to you casting for hours and hours. And a big shout out to him for always supporting me. And obviously, again, like you said, to the fathers that are playing here today, we got, from what I know, BossFight with Radar Head and Viper, both dads, being able to play here on Father's Day. I got to wonder, do you think that's their Father's Day gift, to be able to play for 2 uninterrupted hours, Sky?
Oh, probably. You know, I guarantee you they went up and said, you don't have to get me anything. Just on this day, leave that door shut for 2 hours. That's all I ask.
yeah, I think that's got to be part of the agreement for these teams today to allow them to play. But hey, fathers aside, this matchup today, Sky, is going to be incredibly hype. Silent Purge versus BossFight, ranked number 5 versus ranked 2. I mean, BossFight were ranked 1 worldwide for a couple of weeks this season. Since then, they've other teams have been winning. They've had, I think, a loss recently, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they recently lost to beginners, and so they dipped off of that first place hold that they had worldwide. But they've been looking great this season, as has Silent Purge. And when you look at these 2 teams, what do you anticipate we're going to see gameplay-wise?
So, judging as you were speculating on the history between them, or recent history, they've definitely had some aggressive plays, some great teamwork. They've been challenging the big honchos of the league, beginners.
Yep.
I mean, it's been crazy what we've seen this season. It's definitely been one of my favorite seasons to watch.
Yeah, BossFight's coordination has been looking very good. I mean, everyone's coordination in the top 10 has been looking really top-notch, really improved, in my opinion, over the last season by a large margin, truly. These 2 teams, they've been duking it out since Season 3. You talk about history. They've been playing each other for literally 4 years in the VRML. These teams know each other. You look at the last scoreline. These are the last 6 scorelines I'm going to read to you. 9-9, 6-9, 8-9, 7-9, 8-8. I mean, Sky, we're going to have a couple of 3-3 matchups today. You know what I mean? There's going to be maps that go to that round 7 for sure. I'd be shocked if we didn't get that. And so I think what we can look forward here today is that trade of defensive rounds, potentially, maybe some aggressive offensive rounds. And if you don't know what you're tuning in here for today, this is Onward. It is a 5 versus 5 military simulator, search and destroy style objective, where one team is trying to attack and plant a bomb, or defuse the bomb of the objective. One team is defending. If you defuse that bomb, you get 2 points. If your team dies or you kill the enemy team, you get 1 point. And so it's a great tactical back and forth. Once you die, you're out of the round. I didn't even see both teams now fully readied up and in the lobby. We don't have time to go over the pick bans. We'll get to those in a little bit, Sky. That's the whole other sort of ordeal that we always like to look into tactically. But the Father's Day shout out has gotten us here straight into the gameplay, and we're just going to cut right in to round number 1 on sand. This is going to be a crazy start to this series, Sky.
I'm gonna push right.
Oh, for sure. And I'm going to go as far to say I expect a round or a map 3 decider overall.
Oh, yeah? Why?
Early predictions coming in on that map 3 decider, and early shots coming out from the likes of Silent Purge. Not necessarily happy with that trade, and they've given away some key positioning information. Legel, who's made an advanced move very early over to this box, should have an idea of where they are, and we'll be able to pounce at some point.
Yeah, with the way this offense is set up, they definitely made a heavy push for that center rooftop. That is going to be a key position coming into late round.
I'm trying to find... Legel has a clacker in hand. I wonder where his C4 is placed. Maybe it was there. Maybe that was him detonating that. I don't know. There's a C4 that was detonated over by Radar Head. Maybe a false audio cue that was called out, but we're into a holding pattern here as we get one dead apiece.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting here is the change of pace. You saw that quick aggression to gain control of this building, and then they just halted.
Yeah.
And now they're just waiting for the picks.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would consider it an EU style of gameplay, but it is reminiscent of the beginner's strategy of hunting for an early pick and then trying to take control of the pace of the game. And I think Silent Purge is just trying to take control of the pace here. As you know, Scorpio is in the center building, confirming nobody was pushing up on them. Maybe they didn't know they had that trade, so they didn't even know that one was down on that corner. So much information that they're trying to gather here with still plenty of time. 4 minutes left.
Over here, we got Legel and Flossie just waiting to duke it out. I wonder if Flossie's going to be ready for Legel in this quarter. Oh, and there's the C4.
Mm-hmm. Yep, spotted it as Legel was making that rotation out. It does get a kill, but Scorpio now very aware of this position. It doesn't matter. Legel peeks out and catches one. A trade going on through the center leaves Sri Lankan all alone. He's able to get at least the refrag, and or actually that maybe the confirm, but yeah, you hear the disgruntled voice of Sri Lankan as he realizes he is the last left alive on his team. Can he get a third? Oh. Had a lot of opportunity there to hit those shots, but maybe wasn't expecting someone to be there. Ends up missing a few. BossFight get the trade, take up round one. This sand is crazy, so I really don't know what to expect here with these two duking it out. This is a new map in Season 11, right? And I think when you talk about a team that's always played against each other, they've never really had a new map to play against. They've always played the same maps that have been in Onward for 10 seasons. Now with Season 11, we have custom maps introduced. This is the first time we really get to see these two teams duke it out in a fresh playing field, and already it's a great back and forth.
Yeah, I definitely like this. One of the reasons why Season 11 is so amazing to watch is because of the dynamic of these custom maps. You know, you go back to previous casts of previous seasons and you see, like you said, the same maps over and over, maybe looking a little different with old versions of the game, but essentially the same maps. Now we have whole different battlefields to go on, and old stats that you see of these teams being statistically better than each other may not necessarily hold true anymore.
Yeah, I'm finally getting the pick bands up on the screen here so people can kind of understand what this map pool is going to look like for today. Both Snow Peak and Suburbia are off of the table, so these are maps that have been around in the season for a while. And it does leave us with our two custom maps. And so maybe, again, those that aren't quite informed on the whole situation, Season 11 has introduced a lot of variables to the Onward competitive scene that historically have not been there. We've removed some key utility elements and re-added some key utility elements like smoke grenades and C4. And in addition, they've added custom maps to the map pool on top of a rotating map pool. So every 6 weeks, a fresh map pool of maps is introduced. They have new custom maps and or a rotation of custom maps that have been decided upon by the community and created by the community and are now being played here in the league. And so it's just pretty cool to see overall these teams duke it out on a map that was created by someone in the VRML community. And Sand is one of my favorites. I mean, the action happened so fast. We almost saw a trade between Radar and Dawn in the first 10 seconds.
Ooh.
Possible Echo 4.
Goopy
Possible Echo
picking
4.
up one all the way from that north rooftop. Very powerful position. And getting up there is so key early on, getting those early picks and weakening that defense for the final push.
Yeah, and this is not looking good now for Silent Purge. Kicked off to a 2 instant kills, and Del Flossie's on objective with a shotgun ready to go. I wonder how effective that will be when the push comes through, because it's looking like there's going to be multiple. So he's going to have some very accurate and quick transfers to get rid of multiple targets. I doubt BossFight will thread in one at a time unless radar goes out of sync. He's going to push in. Flossie not flashed.
Oh.
The trade there is very important because now Flossie can still hold his angle and is alive on objective. It's down to Scorpio and Flossie in a 2v4, and the smokes are coming into objective.
Yeah, losing Sri Lankan off of objective is going to hurt them a little bit. Now they're forced to just sit very close to this. And with all these smoke coming out, that's a lot of audio coverage. It's going to be hard to tell where the enemy's coming from. And you actually see Scorpio and Flossie focused on kind of the same side. They're going to have to be careful here and try and communicate on which side they're watching so they don't focus in the same area.
Yeah,
They need to be
Lego
watching
swinging
each other's
around.
backs.
Yeah, he's going to be very effective if Woods can keep the attention of Scorpio and Flossie. You do see Scorpio checking those other sides periodically, as is Flossie. So they're all aware of that threat, but there's so many spots to cover. It's a square. There's upwards of 5 entries essentially into that objective courtyard area, and they're trying to catch them before they get right on top of them. But BossFight are patiently setting up. Archer's right here with Pad. Lego's right there around the corner. They need maybe someone on a roof for suppressive fire. It would give them a significant hold over that whole courtyard space, but curious to see what that BossFight coordination ends up looking like and if they can pull it together.
The one thing that's interesting to note here is BossFight definitely have a good kill count. They have called out their kills, and they've spotted Sri Lankan's dead body from the trade, so they know there's only 2 left. And yet they're still syncing up, and the final push comes in.
And this is what you see out of high-tier teams when they're effectively pushing a space together. It's always that there's someone ready for the refrag. And in this case, as soon as those shots came in, you saw it from both sides, truly, right? As soon as Scorpio goes down on objective, he's instantly the refrag is instantly taken. But then as soon as that kill comes in, Marsoc have their trade and they end up winning the round. So both teams watching their teammates' backs, ready to get those kills in the inevitability that their teammate dies. I think that's an important element that you have to focus on when you look at these top-tier teams, because they don't let a kill go unpunished. It's very rare that a couple of kills come through without the refrag also following suit.
Definitely. But kind of reiterating on that, everything that these players do at this level has purpose.
Yeah.
Something that I picked up on while watching some high-tier Rocket League castings is, you know, everything the players do at the high tiers, it's not just a random hit of the ball. It's not just a random cross or a random nade throw. Everything has a very specific purpose, and that's what separates the higher tiers from mid and lower.
Yep. Following your teammates effectively, watching their shoulders, you know, covering an angle that you think maybe is unnecessary, but an inevitability that it gets pushed, that holding that angle ends up paying dividends. And so we'll see, again, if Silent Purge can get on the board here. An uncharacteristic 2-0 push-up from BossFight in map number 1. I gotta wonder if Silent Purge are maybe feeling the pressure here. This is their map pick. Normally how things work is that home gets the first ban, away gets second ban, home gets first pick, away gets second pick for the map they play on. And so this is Silent Purge's choice on this map. And we go into a crazy objective where maybe they can put together an aggressive push, potentially a cap attempt, but it requires a heavy commitment to a very aggressive rollout. And I don't know if that's something Silent Purge are going to commit to.
We definitely see Sand's infamous early lines game picked up here in the center. And Scorpio and Sri Lanka are going to have to deal with Radar and Legel, but the trade comes out with Archer on the side over there. That's going to weaken the assault there in the center. And the center defense is actually pushing up further.
Yeah, the kill has forced Radar out to rotate out. The res gets the frag, and Hoochie's doing a tremendous job of drawing this entire defense's attention. Lego peeks at the perfect time. Scorpio was going to go for the entryway through that gap. They had the smoke coverage. It could have been devastating. But what a key timely peek as trades come through across the field. Hoochie able to whittle down the defense just a touch. Radar Head's looking to get the refrag, and these teams are playing aggressive. Radar charging in for the trade. Flossie's on objective. Pads out. He's looking for the code. He ties it up.
Wow. I had just looked over and saw him crouch there. Oh my goodness. The offense was so good at distracting the players, they distracted us.
That is the danger of this objective. It is so close to the Marsoc spawn that offense can push right up to it right away. And the threat there is prevalent. It's something you have to be cautious of. And you see the heavy investment in defending the on-objectives corners there. So many committing to that far side, Radar included, ultimately investing himself in pushing away from objective. And when Radar dropped, Scooby didn't know that Radar went out for that confirm kill, that he went out for that trade. And so he wasn't even aware that the on-objective defense was dead. And a push comes in completely undetected because Scooby's watching a different angle. He's watching the backside for a flank that never comes.
I think BossFight was just so eager to push out and get those kills. They knew they had the numbers, so they tried to use that as their superior advantage. And I think that's what ultimately doomed them.
Yeah, good comms coming in there from Hoochie to radio in that he's got those kills. They get the trade, the read off of that audio from Dolphlossy that, hey, speaking of, is that a new player? I don't think I've seen Dolphlossy on Silent Purge. We've talked about, well, we didn't talk about it, but there's been some roster shakeups on both sides over the course of their battling against each other, and I don't necessarily recognize Dolphlossy. Maybe that's just on me for not watching enough Silent Purge action, but either way, looking good here for this team as they kick it off with one kill out the gate. BossFight not able to get that aggression they were looking for, although they are now applying it pretty thick.
Ooh. Wood shutting down an eager flanking Scorpio over there in the south. Sri Lankan cleaning up in the center along with Don Patron. A great duo there. Again, shutting down a push, leaving it just down to Woods and Legel over in the south, but Hoochie shutting that one down. Now Woods kind of playing the support there in the back. Now left alone.
Yeah, and that just kind of looked like a bit of an uncoordinated boss fight push. They really went in one at a time. And you could see that the Silent Purge defense was swarming objective. Very aware of the threat of this OBJ and how dangerous it can be. Clearly, since they were pushing up and got the cap, they don't want that to happen to them. And so multiple invested on that on-objective defense. And then some great picks from the rooftop onto Legel, onto that east side, really shutting down the entry. And now it's all up to Woods in a 1v4. And now with this objective, I think there's plenty of opportunity for him to slowly pick apart this defense. Don could go down easily in a firefight. Sri Lankan as well, and then it's really down to Flossie and Hoochie who have eyes on to the OBJ. 4 minutes left. This is when things get a little bit challenging if you're Silent Purge, because you want to hold angles, but this objective is kind of scary to just hold one spot.
Yeah, and what do you do if you're Woods? Because there's a couple different options. Do you sneak up the middle, try and get under their noses, or do you go for the rooftop control and go for the picks? There's two. Being Woods, a former beginners, I suspect he's going to play the angles game, and he's going to go for the picks.
Yeah, and he's playing this slow because he knows someone's here. There's two dead teammates on the floor here in front of him. It would be foolish for him not to be cognizant of the potential threat that is Don Patron here. And you see him holding those angles, clearing it, and after he's felt that comfortable on the clear, a push comes through. Don hears the audio cues, leads with a great flash, but calls it out first. And let's pay attention to that, Sky. Let's talk about that. The comms coming in there. He says on me, then throws the flash, then goes for the kill, because in the event that he dies, that's information conveyed.
Very, very true. That is one thing that is huge in the top tier teams compared to lower teams. In the lower teams, you see a lot more of, I need to stay quiet, I need to hide, they need to not know I'm here.
Yep.
But once you reach a certain level, you realize it's more important that my team knows the enemy is here than it is for the enemy to not know I'm here.
Yeah, and I mean, Wood's very aware that Don was somewhere in the area. You know, you could see the lasers trained and patiently waiting for those kills. But yeah, a great bit of coordination there from Silent Purge. Ultimately, again, just shutting down what looked to be a bit of an out-of-sorts boss fight push. A team that maybe just wasn't all synced up when they made their initial entry. And I don't know what the plan was there for boss fight, but it certainly was shut down nicely by Silent Purge. And I think we're on pace for a 3-3 around 7 here. Boss fight going to go on the defense. If they can hold this, they're going to tie things up, and then they got to lock in a Marsoc round.
I think one of the things we're seeing here is coming down to experience and map understanding. Something we touched on earlier, that's being a new map, you know, it hasn't been around a long time, so statistics don't always work. Whoever knows the map better tends to do better. I think we're seeing Silent Purge having that understanding where they can get to, what lines they can hold, and where they can hit people early. And that's what Sand in particular is all about.
Green smoke is my smoke, just so that you're aware without me having to say it. Cool.
Oh, and this is a little interesting tidbit keyed in from the boss fight. Using the colored smokes on defense so that it's easy to identify this is my smoke. This is not the enemy's smoke, and I guess a great way to separate if it's a threat or not, and if you have to worry about it. But wow, look at this aggressive rollout. Radar head pushed up very far.
All that suppression being utilized to just basically slow down the fast attack that Sand is infamous for and make them waste time trying to deal with this.
Yeah, you can see it has paused what could have been maybe a bit more of a aggressive swing out from Don and Flossie. Legel has to be so careful with what he's doing here, simply because how dialed in both Don and Flossie are here to this corner. And to the point of refrags, either one of these players can pick up the kill onto Legel. That's a good nade toss, though. Comes out, they dodge. Legel crosses off of it. Great use of that nade to rotate over, but can't quite get the trade. Radar, on the other hand, has swung around. Flossie keyed into that. He gets the refrag. We're traded 2 for 1 in favor of Silent Purge, and as I say that, Woods evens the odds to a 3-3.
Yeah, during all that, Sri Lankan actually got caught by a thrown Woods C4 out in the center, kind of slowing down the now central push. Woods playing a key role here in making Scorpio and Hoochie take their time. But he actually makes a long rotation out of cover and gets shut down for that.
Bit of an odd choice. And off of all this chaos, Flossie's pushing in, and so it's really opening up a great attack for Silent Purge. They have the objectives surrounded, and pretty soon Archer's going to have to essentially prevent an entry from all 3 points at the same time.
Yeah, the outside defenders playing really dangerous games, overexposing themselves, and DeFlossie cleaning things up with the final approach.
That's the shotgun coming in to lock in the final kill for Silent Purge. They take map number 1 and ultimately bounce back from what was looking like a pretty tough rollout. If you remember the start of this series, 0-2 in favor of boss fight, and I was starting to worry that maybe Silent Purge hadn't picked the right map.
Yeah, it was looking a little sweaty for a moment there, but they pulled through. They came back.
And I mean, that's something you got to be aware of when you're at this high tier. Silent Purge, BossFight, either one of these teams is capable of bouncing back from an 0-3. They're very capable of locking in a series that was out of their grasp moments ago, and Silent Purge proving that they're not afraid to go for plays that could put them in bad positions. The cap when they're down 0-2, that's a 3-0 deficit if that cap isn't successful, and it puts them in a whole different position, obviously. That cap, though, ends up coming through, and then 4 essentially unanswered points puts them up with map number 1 in their pocket. We now go to BossFight's pick for map 2, and we have to remember what's on the table here. Shipyard, a custom map still available, one that I think's been really fun to tune into and watch. I wonder if BossFight are feeling confident on it, though. Obviously, we have Downfall, a little bit of range available for you, and then on the close quarters front, maps like Subway. Suburbia is off the table there, clearly. Cargo still, and well, now in the map pool. And it is looking like we are going to go to Subway for map 2, and BossFight play this map pretty dang well.
Something to touch up on here, speaking of sweating a bit, the connoisseurs definitely feeling the pressure here. We've got a 6 on the side of Silent Purge, while a 64 on the side of BossFight.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, normally, if you're not aware, we have a voting system on the webpage, and we oftentimes do voting in chat, but for these matchups, we go live to a space that we can't do that, and so we don't have voting on maps for those that are tuning in on other platforms than venues, but if that is something that maybe you're interested in getting involved in, you can always head over to the website, start voting, and we have given prizes to the top connoisseurs in past seasons, so maybe keep an eye out for who you think is going to be winning, see if you can become a top percentage connoisseur voter. It's all tracked on the website and attached to the account that you sign up for, and so it's kind of a cool way to see who really knows the team's best, or at least who's the luckiest in terms of guessing who's going to win. Trying to look at the rosters here. We're getting some subs coming through on both ends. No, just on Silent Purge. Bobby V 2.0. Version 1.0 wasn't good enough. They had to sub it out. I don't know if 1.0 was ever in, but 2.0's here. The new and improved Bobby. See if it's enough to help Silent Purge battle back BossFight on their map pick. And I got to look at the statistics, which is also something you can gander at if you head on over to vrml.com/onward/teams. You can look at all of the teams playing in this league this season and check all of their stats. And right now, I'm looking at BossFight playing on Subway. They are 3-3 this season. 14 rounds played, 12 rounds won. They've only lost 2 rounds on Subway this season. That's a pretty dang high win percentage, and it's starting to make sense why they've chosen this map to go up against Silent Purge. But still, I'm curious. I think if this goes to a map 3, let's say BossFight win, I think we're headed to Shipyard. I think Silent Purge are trying to use the custom maps to their advantage, trying to take BossFight to a space that they haven't faced Silent Purge off at, and try and get a little bit of an advantage there. And hey, it worked quite well on sand. That cap came through completely undetected, and so this, I think, like you said, we're headed to a map 3 at this rate, but can't count either team out yet. We haven't even gotten into the first round of map 2. As I say that, both teams are thinking the same thing. Let's fire it up and get into the action. There's your rosters for both sides. J772 also coming in for Silent Purge. So dipping deep into their reserve pool, and always something I love talking about that I've been bringing up for seasons now, that teams are finally now doing. They have players that are specialized for maps and specific situations, and both Bobby and Jay being brought in here to support this team in their time of need as they try and lock in the series.
Ooh. Hoochie making an aggressive swing down here in the south, gets wounded, has to heal up, but Woods coming around the corner to clean him up. Bobby 2.0 here to ambush the push.
What a crazy defensive rollout. They charge down the stairs where they spawn to take full control of the bottom of the stairs. Hoochie tried to get control of that L, which would make it a very powerful defensive position for him to be able to hold. He has great angles on multiple sides there, but can't quite thread it together. And now Bobby, if he pushes out, it's going to be bad news, but he is playing it tight and tucked in.
Yeah, he is a laser trap here. He also has a C4 clacker, but I'm not sure where the C4 actually is. But him being pushed up here, he might not get the chance to use it.
Yeah, it may very well come out as a thrown C4, but to your point, I don't really see that on his vest, so it's got to be there. Woods comes out, and that's an indicator for Bobby to swing. He tries to work off of the audio information that he gathers, but the push out from Scooby pays dividends there and ends up getting the kill. Now Flossie has to rotate back and cover the stairs. It weakens up the on-objective defense, and Jay's left alone, as is Don, to cover key entry points onto this objective position, both of which are being taken up by BossFight. Archer will eventually swing here to challenge Don, and Jay's going to be running into some action very soon as both Radar and Lego push up off the smoke.
What? Did that smoke come from Archer? This is an M203 smoke that came from across the map over the buildings. He arced it onto the objective.
Love that. I heard the M203 launch, and you're right. That's exactly what that was. It denies vision from Flossie onto objective. It's a fantastically placed grenade. The flash comes in. That's going to completely blind Jay. It allows Lego to swing out and then quickly challenge on the corner. Jay not ready for that. A great kill rolling in from him. But Flossie's here now with a shotty. Catches one. Don swinging back to defend. And the smokes are thick as Radar pushes out from it. And he doesn't see Flossie up against the wall for a very long time. Now both Archer and Radar pad out, but Don swings in with the full force trigger. Held down, gets the double. The push up from the stairs is enough for BossFight to lock in the round, but absolute chaos here in map 2 as we kick off the first round. I gotta pace myself. This is only the second map. We were we're on track for map 3 at this rate.
Wow, that to give you a bit of a break there. I mean, that was just crazy. First, with the, as we pointed out, that M203 across the buildings, that was rehearsed, and that was placed so perfectly that forced the south stairs to rotate off of their position and try and find some other cover. It didn't work out. They got scooped up, and then just utter chaos with all the smokes, forcing people to come out of their comfort zones. And I don't know if it was 2, maybe 3 attempts at that cap getting shut down.
Yeah.
That was so close.
Yeah, ultimately, that was the best result for Silent Purge because it was BossFight all the way. Think about this stuff, dude. Let's dive into it. The M203 launch. That's something I've been waiting for also for seasons. Since it's been incorporated into this game, for somebody to figure out how can I launch this thing into a spot by looking at a certain angle and shooting the gun. I feel like it's one of the most valuable assets of the M203 in that you're guaranteed a exact trajectory. So you can do something like that where you just can't with any other utility piece because it's so hard to get an exact trajectory with a nade. I'm sure James is yelling at me saying, no, it's not, I can do it, but that is a practice skill for a lot of teams. That's not my James impression, by the way. That would be much more New Zealander. But I love to see that kind of stuff get incorporated here and ultimately get them the win. Great on-objective smokes, really thick coverage, forcing rotations on the defense. And, wow, look at this defensive rollout. BossFight investing a lot here. Heavy smokes and suppressive fire in case that Silent Purge had a fast spawn.
That all that suppression being used for Radar Head to make this cross into the horseshoe, and now he's playing a solid ambush position. We'll see if he gets utilized, though, because if nobody goes horseshoe, that's almost a dead angle, and he's going to have to be forced to rotate out to help the rest of the defense.
I feel like maybe that's part of the value, right? If it goes unutilized in that horseshoe position, in that catwalk space, he can then push out and have the back of that defense there. If he loses both Woods and Scooby, it's a last-minute element that can potentially have the defense get shut down. And so we'll see if it pays off in the end game, or if Radar ends up just finding Bobby early. But this could be a spot that ends up paying off very late. If Radar doesn't get over aggressive, and as I say that, he's committing to some serious aggression here.
This is dangerous. If the defense were to go down now, him being this far off, that could be a cap back from Silent Purge.
Yeah, it really could. And we've already seen Silent Purge cap once against BossFight because of this exact situation, because Radar pushed out and swung off of his position. But this time it at least gets him a kill. Hoochie, I'm sure, now very confused as he finds himself pinched awkwardly between two defenders.
Yeah, that was actually a solid flank to go to South Stairs, because you can almost assume if they went that way, they're going to be staged up at the bottom just waiting.
Have to keep our attention split, and as I say that, Radar decides that his overcommitment to that aggression was enough. One kill was good, and now he's in the spot that I was talking about earlier that could pay dividends. Look at how distracted the Silent Purge offense is with Woods in the corner, and if they're not ready for Radar, it's going to be a kill.
Ooh, and there it is. Don Patron again, just not ready, but will Flossie with the flashlight shotgun be more prepared?
He's got to worry about Woods looking for the peek, and Woods swings out, looks for the double, tries to transfer onto the corner. Radar is going to be the one to push out and get that kill, and just like that, Hoochie's left alone. But Hoochie's maybe their best chance as he comes pushing up, looks to challenge Archer, and I don't know if he didn't see him or what, but Archer has an exposed Hoochie dead. Oh, there was a smoke there, and as he came out of the smoke, he gets killed. I see we don't see those smokes sometimes in first person as it is a bug, but that was a situation there. And BossFight lock in a very good defense for 2-0. And I guess this is also something I want to talk about here today, Sky, with the variety that we've seen with custom maps. That was a new objective here on a map that these teams have played a lot against each other. And BossFight came very prepared.
Yes, you could definitely tell, again, that M203 that we saw in their round. You know, you can tell they have rehearsed that objective. They made sure that when it came into the pool and they saw it was new, they made sure that they would be prepared for it when it came up.
Again, just something so fun to tune into and watch, you know, as these teams at such a high level playing and coordinating all of this in VR. I mean, that's what I think what just adds to that extra element is that this is truly a VR esport. You know, to watch these two teams duke it out, to see the coordination it requires to play at such a high level, it's sometimes hard to grasp, like you said, all the nuance, how every little thing they do has purpose, but it truly is that case at this level. All of the even something like turning your gun sideways has a purpose. There's a reason to doing that, and it can get you maybe that little bit of an extra advantage when you're at this competitive level.
And that's another thing to touch up on this. Being in the VR environment, you can do things like turning your gun sideways and moving. You're changing the way you sight picture and stuff. Things you just can't do in the monitor style of games like CSGO and such. You have more versatility in what you can do.
Indeed we do, and we'll see what Silent Purge put together here on defense. Already a bit of an indicator of the push. A great flash coming in there to both Blind Woods and Legel, but they were already holding their angles and dumping out suppressive fire. And now the trades are coming through, 1 for 1, as Bobby finds the confirm. And look at how aggressive Silent Purge are getting on defense. They're almost challenging here this offensive squad. Bobby in a trade. Hoochie's going to continue to push forward, and Woods is ready.
Ooh. Wow. That was a very aggressive push. And we saw some astounding coordination. The offense throwing a flashbang onto the defense. Hoochie quickly tucking in while Bobby pokes out to cover him because he wasn't flashed. The trade comes out. I mean, the coordination there with Don Patron cleaning up radar in the aggressive swing. Down to a 2-2 very early on.
Yeah, and it was a 3-2 there. Radar was in a great position to sync up with Woods. They could have had a really nice push, but instead it's just a little bit out of sync, and that little bit out of sync gets punished instantly at this level. Silent Purge able to pick up basically a free kill, and now Jay and Don are into that 2-2. They should have an accurate kill count as well, and so they can rely a bit on each other to defend here, and not an insurmountable task.
Yeah, what Silent Purge needs to be thinking about right now is talking to each other, making sure they understand where the other is watching. The thing that I'm worried about here is you see Don Patron dancing around, trying to watch 3 different entrances at the same time. I think it would be beneficial for Jay to actually rotate off of his position and join him in the market.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to actually join him in the market. He can take a pretty common position and tuck into the dark corner here and have vision right onto objective, be able to deny all of the entries, essentially. And if he loses Dawn, he can push out from here and have I think, enough time to deny a cap, if he's quick on reacting, of course. But where he is now, there's definitely not enough time for him to push out and react. Although he is covering a specific angle, or a couple actually. He can watch the catwalk entry, and even, you can see there, that far north entry if it comes through. And so it is important for the Silent Purge defense, with the lack of information that they have, for those spots to be held. But look at this. It's like Jay's listening in to the comms that you have here, Sky, and he's feeling that there's a little bit of a lack of support himself as he pushes over here to be on objective. And that's so unfortunate.
Right as the duo. Oh, that would have been a great duo pickup. And Jay exposing his elbow. Dom with the quick refrag coming out of the smoke. Completely blinded. Scooby exploiting that.
Yeah, he was going for the double there. I don't even know if he knew there was another alive. Like I said, I think they had an accurate kill count, so he must have known there was another alive there off of that push out. But either way, a fantastic bit of play from both sides, and just classic Onward on display. We say it all the time. As soon as you drop an angle, the enemy peeks it, and that couldn't be more true with Silent Purge's defense there. As soon as he dropped off of that hold on the catwalk, they pushed through it, and I don't know if it's uncanny timing or what, but a good bit of duo coordination as well from the BossFight team to get them that 2v2 win. And now they're up 3-0 on their map pick. They're trying to swing the score a bit here. I have the score wrong on the scoreboard. Apologies, I just updated it incorrectly. Let me make that correction here. But wow, what a stellar bit of work from this BossFight team. It's important to remember, 4 unanswered points got locked in there from Silent Purge on sand. So it had been a bit since BossFight had gotten some points on the board, but now they are certainly reversing the cards here, playing a bit of an Uno, and are now 3-0 on their map pick. And like I said, I think we're headed to a map 3 even before we got to this map 2, and it's certainly shaping up that way.
Definitely some of the most exciting aspects of Onward. The heart-wrenching last-second decisions, the quick actions, and then everybody's favorite, the map 3 deciders, the last point deciders. You can't ask for much better.
No, you really can't. And today has been great action. If you're not aware, we do switch sides and go at the same objective. So now Silent Purge attacking the objective that they just, well, unsuccessfully defended against. We'll see if they can manage to find the picks they need. They have information, as Lego did try and make an early peek. They should know he's then tucked into that dark corner, a very common defensive position that he's in. A good nade placed in here will deny Lego life. We'll see if that is what comes through, but for now it's going to be a bit of a slow rollout for Silent Purge, and that's going to be a flash onto Lego himself.
And you got the attack dog of BossFight, Radar Head, doing a long flank in the mid-platform to the south stairs, the spawn of Silent Purge. Gonna come in from the rear. Don Patron playing the rear security and doing his job and shutting that down.
And that's an angle that you may be questioning. Why the heck is anyone holding that? You know, why is anyone there watching stairs? That's where they spawn from. No one's gonna push that, but lo and behold, the push comes in. Don plays a key part in denying the kill. The trade there into the dark corner opens up now this entry point for Jay and Don. They have a little bit more control. They're inching ever closer to the objective as Archer deploys a couple of utility pieces and, maybe not intentionally, detonates a C4 placement with that nade.
Oh, man. Gucci just rushing a little too hard, making too much noise. Woods with a nice C4 placement. But the final approach coming in over here in the west, they are danger close to the objective now with a 2-2 once again.
Same spot, too.
Yeah, same exact approach, but Don Patron opting to rotate for a pinch. But, ooh, Jay just a little too fast on the peak there, not letting Don Patron making his rotation.
Yeah, now Don, I don't know, maybe just a bit out of sync. Goes for the kill.
Ooh.
Gets the trade on the corner.
What?
Has a nade out on nade. Is he going to nade himself? No, that flash deployed. I thought that was a frag. He comes in with the reload.
Oh.
What just happened there? He threw a nade that I didn't see go off. I thought it was going to kill him. He pushes in with a reload there. Woods maybe clicking as well. Somehow ends up getting two. Silent Purge are still on the board here in map 2. What happened?
Wow. I'm
What was
at a
that
loss
nade?
for words.
What could have that nade been? I didn't see
I'm
smoke.
pretty sure it was a smoke.
I didn't see any.
Were you in first person?
No, I was in
couldn't tell. I was
third.
following him. Oh man, I did not see it. I was so focused because I was ready for Woods to pull out, and it just didn't happen.
I think maybe the smoke went into the ground. I'm seeing some.
Oh man.
I don't know. I thought that was going to be his demise. I thought he had thrown a nade there and was then, because it didn't detonate. I didn't see the flash detonate. The flash grenade is quick. You throw it, it detonates in a couple of seconds. The nade, you throw it, it takes, what is it, 6 or something? It's a long timer on that nade if you don't cook it. And so I was expecting that what seemed to be a long-standing nade there to ultimately kill himself, but wow, lucky enough that it's not. And ultimately gets that final kill. A great swing. And we have to look. I have to go back and look at the VOD there to see why Woods didn't take those shots. What happened there? Because there was time to reload and then get the kill.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on the Twitch stream to 6 minutes behind to see what happened there.
Yeah, try and help out with a little bit of perspective there. But I guess one thing to note, these rounds certainly going through quick. We're not necessarily burning down the midnight oil here, not going too long. The aggression very thick on both ends. Whether it's on defense or offense, they are all applying the pressure. And speaking of, we're going to get into some action right away as Bobby takes some early shots. And it gets a double. I can't get over to there because there's so much action happening across the field.
Silent Purge doing their darndest to make sure they hold this north alley. They are not going to let anybody stage up over here if they can help it.
Yeah, and that's where I was end up getting pulled, simply because all of the gunfire happening here, just both Archer and Don shooting through the smokes at each other. No one landing much of anything, but they know they're both here. and they both kill each other. A bit of an awkward engagement there in the north. It does put Silent Purge into a bit of a strange spot. They have to confirm that that north was a trade, and so maybe a couple of utility pieces are going to have to be invested to push up and confirm that, but the rest of BossFight is nowhere near that north side. They're all inside the subway.
Echo 4 killed one.
Nice
in
pickup
the
from
east.
Legel, gonna weaken that south
one east.
defense and open up their push just a little bit. But if Silent Purge has realized that they've cleared the north, they're gonna be well aware that this final assault's coming from the south.
Yeah, you can see Bobby very dialed in there to a nice little position underneath the bench. He's holding a very late angle. An angle that should be checked. And ultimately, he does
Which
drop
it
off of.
was.
Yeah.
Was checked right as he walked off of it. Again, another notorious onward timing there.
Yeah, he makes the smart decision to play to even more passive than he was. Maybe feeling that he was a bit too exposed. He could have been shot from a couple of different spots where he was holding there. And so he drops back, tucks into a very, even again, late angle that hopefully he's hoping will catch someone out as they cross.
Looking at this defense here, and they have this pretty harshly locked down. It's going to take some good sync and coordination between Radar and Legel. It looks like Radar's actually going to opt to go for north stairs again and retry that approach for a pinch. Oh no, he was just checking for a flanker. He's going to continue with Legel.
Yeah. No, it's a smart choice to take control of those stairs because now he can assess and analyze. He can look for all of these other defensive positions that he's doing right now. He's clearing out these spots before they make their push forward. And again, to Bobby's advantage, he has dropped off here and is tucked in. The smoke comes in, and this is interesting. Radar's also going to deploy a smoke, and so they're blocking off both tunnels with smokes. Never seen that before.
That's the coordination you need to cross this right there.
Yeah, because now Bobby has to rotate, has to move into a position that is expected, and he's gotten across. He's crossed Bobby's vision. He's tucked in behind the Coke machine there for a moment, but Bobby has to push out. He's worried about the on-objective defense. Wow.
Wow. The great refract from Legel. Again, the teamwork. They're always in a position to pop out and get the refract. No kill goes useless.
Wow. And I'm going to dive into a little bit of what you're seeing here. Flossie is taking shotgun shots into the north to try and indicate to Legel that there's one being distracted at the north. Now, this would, of course, require that Legel is not keyed in to the fact that he's the only one left alive, which I do think he's very aware of. He was aware that it was him and Radar pushing in. But I think Flossie's trying to bait out Legel into applying pressure here onto the corner, and you can see Hoochie's dialed in to get this kill. Legel's playing it a bit more savvy, though. He's not going to challenge off of those shotgun blasts, and now Hoochie's going to be in a bad spot.
Oh, wow. That was an important pickup. A great angle to grab. Now going to force Flossie off of his position, and it's going to force him out of cover. He has to check this objective.
Yeah, Legel sees the cross now as well, and Flossie has so much work to do, and he can't quite do it. Legel plays that one, masterfully avoiding the bait from the defense. Ends up getting the final kill. That's 1 point, but it's enough to lock in map number 2 for BossFight. 4 points to 1, and we're almost even on the scoreline. And is that such a surprise to you, Sky? I mean, this is textbook Silent Purge versus BossFight.
Oh, man, we're another one for the books of close games. Wow.
Yeah, and a bit of a rough go there for Silent Purge, trying to bring in some subs to help battle back BossFight. But I don't know if anything would have really helped with BossFight there. BossFight on a frankly another level of coordination, bringing new plays to this game that I haven't seen in 10 seasons. And it's what I love most about watching this game sometimes, is seeing innovation from both the new teams that have joined the league, which there's plenty of, and these veterans that are picking up new players and changing their rosters and trying to throw out new strategies, trying to always improvise and adapt. It's so fun to watch. And like I've been saying, Season 11 has been some of, if not the best, spectating for Onward that I've had the opportunity to do. I know down on the ground floor, there are some bugs that do hamper the player experience, but I mean, still, overall, the matchup here we've been watching today, it's really just come down to there's not been any interference of really much anything I can see. It's just been pure gunplay, pure great utility use, good intellectual battling of the minds, trying to counter strats. It's a fantastic duel here, and for map number 3, we're going to the series decider and we're taking it to quarantine. I think we're going to go 3. I think it's going to be 3-3 round 7 decider here.
Oh man, I sure hope so. And something interesting to note, bringing it to quarantine, there are 12 different possible objectives on this map. It is bananas, the variations you can get. And I'm wondering if maybe Silent Purge feels that they're more prepared for such variations in BossFight. And maybe that's why they brought him here, as like they did on Sand. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
I don't know. I feel like now if you're Silent Purge, maybe you got to be wondering a bit, what has BossFight been doing? What are they practicing? Because they were very prepared for new objectives on Subway. They were bringing new strats to old objectives on Subway. With quarantine, I'd be a little bit concerned for Silent Purge's sake, because they may very well break out new strats on old objectives, and that's going to throw Silent Purge off more than any other team, because Silent Purge has faced BossFight for 10 seasons. They know how BossFight likes to play. And so adaptation of strats goes a long way in this historic matchup between these two teams, because variety is everything. And I still stand by the fact that I think Shipyard would have been the best chance for Silent Purge to beat out BossFight here.
And I'm looking at the stats here, which are going to be skewed. But historically, Silent Purge has won more often against BossFight on quarantine.
Okay.
However, as I mentioned, it's going to be skewed because in Season 10 with the 1.8 release, we saw a change in what quarantine looks like, effectively making it a whole new map.
Yeah. And then we saw new additions of objectives, after the map had been revitalized. And so, there's plenty of fresh elements introduced here into the rivalry since maybe they've last faced off on quarantine. Even since Season 10 now, you have smokes being incorporated here in C4 on the table. And I anticipate we'll see some drone usage coming in from BossFight. They're a team that is one that uses the drone more than any other team. And maybe that's because Viper brings the sniper and they use that drone, but he's not on the BossFight roster here today. He hasn't been involved in any of these matchups. Maybe they don't feel the need for the range. And I mean, frankly, with how good they looked on Subway, I think I'd stick with the same 5 myself just to keep things consistent. We now see on Silent Purge's side of the roster, they are removing their subs and have gone back to what got them the Sand win with 4-2. And to the same point, I think maybe I would have just kept my roster in to Subway if they were playing well. Of course, I'm the person that also says that subs are useful and a great out tool, but I mean, it's all situational, okay? And ultimately, the situation that Silent Purge finds themselves in, but they got to beat BossFight here on map 3 if they want to take the series.
Yeah, the pressure is definitely on for Silent Purge. This being their map pick, they have to win a Marstock round. The coordination is going to be key, and that's something that BossFight has been winning in. So we'll see what happens here.
I think I might try something new next round. Where what we'll do, Sky, is we'll cut our mics and simply listen to the in-game audio. We'll turn up the in-game audio a touch, And we'll really key into the comms of both teams, trying to hear what they're saying, because there is so much communication that goes on here with both of these squads. And we only catch it in blips as we drop by, when they're calming in, when they're communicating. Sometimes we're talking over it, so maybe we'll give it a shot next round. I've never done it before, but I want to see how it's received by the crowd, and a little new element. We're not quite there yet, though, as this round kicks off. Silent Purge versus BossFight, and look at Legal's spot here. He's tucked in between two fuel tankers. This could be very effective.
Scorpio doing a great job at getting this early line down in the hole, forcing basically Legel to sit in those propane tanks. If he tries to peek out, Scorpio has a line on it. Ooh, premature C4 detonation right there. Not gonna find anybody. I'm pretty sure he heard Button UK walking around a little bit.
Yeah, most often than not, the C4 deployments are off of audio cues. A player is positioned into a spot where they can hear somebody around a corner or through a wall. The C4 is placed on the other side of that wall, and then you try and catch out the rotator. In that case, Button was not pushed up far enough, but Legal maybe anticipated he was. C4 catches nothing. And if anything, Legal may be giving away his position, because how else do you know to detonate that C4? That, of course, is a super high-level thought that you have to have in the moment. You have to be thinking, how does that C4 detonate? Who could have heard me? There's so many different elements that get factored in, and that's what it's sometimes these players think about all this stuff, and sometimes they don't, because they get tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision is an absolute monster to deal with when competing in Onward. Legel finding that kill onto Don Patron, exposing himself to a harsh angle, and now Silent Purge, very well aware of Legel's position. They're going to be slowed down to try and figure out a way to deal with him. Oh, a nice flash. The push comes out. Hoochie misses his shots. Wow. Hoochie cleaning it up, but not before Legel's able to scoop up one. Button UK going down. Now down to a 3v4. I gotta wonder, though, was that the right move? He traded 1-for-1, but would it have been better if he just sat there and stayed alive?
Yeah, he could have been an important element in shutting down the continued aggression from this south side. But I think one thing we've seen from both sides is on defense, they're not afraid to challenge the offensive push. We've seen it from both BossFight, maybe more so than anything, and Silent Purge. They've gone for flanks on defense. They've pushed out aggressively with some early defensive setups, looking for kills. It's been a pretty aggressive defensive battle from both ends, and I guess really at some point you have to adjust and be ready for that defense to be aggressive with you.
I really like Hoochie's positioning, gaining control of the hospital rooftop. It's going to be key in trying to shut down both Woods and Radar Head, and possibly Archer if he exposes himself to that window. But if nobody exposes themselves to hospital roof, he needs to be ready to rotate off of there here in the next probably 30 to 60 seconds so he can back up the final objective push. And looking at objective, all the defense is way pushed out. There is nobody on objective.
Yeah, it's oddly weak, and the BossFight defense is set up in a way that they're holding entry point angles to deny the setup even from Silent Purge inside that objective zone. And it's risky, because if you do lose one of your advanced holders, if you do lose one up in the front there, you end up becoming very weak on objective with your defense, and Archer's position is known. Scorpio got radio information from Hoochie, and so now Scorpio is playing this one extra cautiously as well, looking for the Archer pick.
They definitely, I was doing a fly around here, and they definitely have all of the entry points well covered. However, if one of them goes down and that entry point is pushed through and breached, it's going to take a lot of rotations to cover it up. Oh, but the nice Archer and Woods both taking down Flossie. Again, complementing angles from the defense, something you see a lot of in the higher levels.
Yeah, Archer thoroughly distracted by Hoochie here. Scorpio still playing this one very, very quietly. He hasn't gotten aggressive yet. He hasn't pushed up. He hasn't made any audio cues.
Ooh.
And Hoochie actually gets the kill. And so now Scorpio's here with control. Woods, wow, what a great push from him. That is perfectly timed simply because the push was going to come in onto objective as the clock ticked down. The boss fight rotated back to objective to deny that push from coming through, and ultimately boss fight lock in the early lead here on Quarantine. Wow, what a great bit of defensive coordination there. And I think that's something I'd like to talk about, Sky, the end there of that round. The rotations from boss fight on defense. Your point made that they were very weak on objective, but they recognize that, hey, there's 30 seconds left. If we haven't found them, they got to be pushing. And so they all start to collapse around OBJ to certainly find two from Silent Purge pushing objective.
Yeah, that was definitely a great... I mean, just as you said, the last 30 seconds of that round is pure highlights of what makes these teams in these ranks, what proves that they should be here.
Yeah, the communication, the rotations from both ends, truly a solid bit of battling back and forth. And for this next round, we're going to tune in and try and I like, there's always comms at the start of this, start of rounds, you know. Sometimes we catch it, sometimes we don't. We'll make sure that we try and tune into both sides comms here, just sort of give you an idea of what it looks like at a high level when you are trying to communicate, when you are trying to strategize, when you are trying to put your full force of your team together and to attack that same objective. It takes a lot, and well, I think oftentimes it goes unnoticed. We obviously draw a lot of attention to it as a key element in this game, but because it's not something that you're not communicating using a TeamSpeak or Ventrilo, because the comms are done in the game, it just adds that more level of immersion and coordination, in my opinion. And here we go, round number 2 kicking off.
Keep your heads down, remember.
What is it?
7376.
7376. 500 7376. Eyes up. Imagine, like, expecting to the guy, at least one of them, to be in big boys.
I suppose this is as good a time as any to jump back in. The early round convos there. We'll cut back into to listening in to the round once the action kicks off, because for now, I do imagine it's going to be pretty quiet here across this front with how the rollout is here, with how the defensive spawn favored, in my opinion, the boss fight team. They've managed to take full control of this north side and are playing it patiently as they set up that rooftop command with Woods and Archer, and then slowly rotate around to the west with both Radar and Lego. And Archer's going to support probably by entering in straight into that 2-story where Button is.
Yeah, I'm definitely liking this nice line that the offense has going on the map here. Woods kind of being a centerpiece, holding off that Overwatch position. And if they play this right, it'll basically be a firing squad as they move for their final push to the objective. What's nice about this setup is that if anybody in the line goes down, there's somebody else next to them that can, again, essentially get those refrags. It is very clear to tell who needs to be reacting to what. Oh, Woods goes down, Archer and Scooby can now pinch them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Radar Head goes down, Legel and Archer can now pinch them.
Yeah, there's always that extra level of support coming thugh. And Scooby trying to swing his way around to get control of the center. He gets shut down.
Has not moved.
You hear the comms there from Archer.
He's in the southeast corner.
Ooh. The trade in the center gonna shut down Woods on the Overwatch position. However, Button still Resable. Radar Head's gonna easily find that confirm though. And with Scooby being shut down by the APC, that's going to deny some pinches unless Archer continues this rotation and basically takes up that approach. Oh, but then Scorpio shutting down the far flank. Radar Head with the quick refrag. Down to a 2-3. Both offenders in pretty decent positions to, again, get this pinch. This would be a great time to tune into those comms.
Yeah, we'll see if there's anything going on. It could be still pretty quiet across the front here, simply because both Flossie and Hoochie are going to have to stay pretty quiet here as they defend. Radar's pumping out some suppressive fire. They're trying to get rid of Don Patreon. And yeah, let's hear it. Let's cue in to the rest of the audio here as Radar Head and his teammate are going to have to sync up. There goes the comms being an element. The kill comes through onto Radar. A huge pickup from Don. Radar was trying to watch those angles, but ends up getting refragged. And now you can see the pressure being applied by Silent Purge. And sometimes, you know, when you tune in, you hear a lot of communication between teams as they're making pushes. And oftentimes you can tune in and it's a silence of comms because they don't want to give away their position with any audio cues. And so it varies in terms of what we'll hear when if we tune in like that 2 rounds. Sometimes teams very actively communicating and sometimes really just trying to stay as silent as they can. And in this case, Archer certainly aware he's the last left alive, so we won't hear anything from him, but both him and Radar stayed pretty quiet there, but knew where each other's were. And I think that's something that we'll focus on in the between rounds here as Archer and Flossie get pretty close. Hoochie also exposed to a potential pickup there from Archer.
Oh, wow.
Whoa, the double comes through. A huge pickup. And now Don left alone in a 1v1. Archer's going to push up. Hoochie's going to calm in his position.
Side of objective.
What?
And that call out that we did end up hearing from Hoochie saves the round there. Don Patron hears side of objective. And as he hears that, he swings out to find an unaware pusher. Gets that kill and ultimately ties things up. We're on track for that 3-3 prediction. And almost a great attempt from the likes of, what's that, Archer there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering, was Archer tablet out while he was being called out?
It seemed like he was going for a cap. It really did. It seemed like he was trying to push forward there. And to your point, I think he would have heard. He can hear Hoochie making those call-outs. You know, he can hear Hoochie saying side of the objective. And so, if anything, he should have been maybe ready for the push. With the gun up, but yeah, again, we'll have to have chat inform us, or we'll have to look back at that replay through the VOD system. But just this series has overall had some really crazy attempts at pushing in on offense, and hey, they worked out well on Subway in some cases. I mean, you think of that double kill on the market objective, got them that point, but couldn't quite put 3 together to lock in a 2-0 lead for BossFight. And I'm sure it's what they wanted, obviously, to have a nice, comfortable lead on Silent Purge's map pick, but not going to go the way that they were hoping. And we now go to an objective I feel like I haven't... oh, no, we've seen this one plenty of times, although it is a new one. Inside the building here, an objective that I think is certainly capable.
Oh, well, they spawn over by the plane, don't they? So I don't think they got any eyes on here.
They might on the crossover though.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go this way now.
Again, a little more insight into the comms. You can hear both the players there discussing what's the rollout going to look like here? What's this defensive setup going to be? If they spot me here, what's the plan? And then trying to counteract that thought process, saying, okay, well, if he's going to think that, then I'm going to go here. That's the kind of high-level thinking that does have to come in at this level, and it's what can sometimes net you those double kills, can net you those triples to get you around when just outthinking your opponent. And well, they don't really have much to work with yet because BossFight have been staying pretty tucked in, but Silent Purge, nice and spread. Well, not actually, no, it's BossFight that's spread. Really quite a spread defense there. A heavy investment way up into the north.
And you also got to wonder, thinking about the history of these two teams having fought each other so much, the mind games, as you kind of iterated on, how much do these players know about the other players and their rotations and their preferred positions? How do you counteract that knowledge?
The early game mind battles and then that late game execution that ultimately puts together a solid team win, and that late game execution is going to be coming into effect here in just about 2 minutes time. Most pushes come through if they are late around 2 minutes, and Silent Purge certainly set up for that timer here.
And once again, we're seeing a relatively spread out defense from BossFight. Again, only one on objective, the rest watching as many crosses as they can. The problem I see here is as defenders go down, it's going to be hard to react off of them since they're so spread out. You might not gain all the information you need about how they died and where they died from.
Yeah, and in the event that a trade comes through, you obviously also can't get any information there, and so it has its risks, but also its advantages. You get a lot more control, a lot more coverage, and so you can catch rotations and peaks, and now they know Woods is at least defending on objective, so they can work with that information.
Trying to look for the danger points here. Hoochie about to storm on Archer's position. If they get center burning as a staging ground and use that as a distraction and then get past radar to the back, this could be risky. But as I say, that radar in a great position to assist Archer. Archer, I believe, made that call out so radar head could peek out, but Button with the long angle on the refrag. Again, shutting down radar head was key, because if they continue that south push, they can get behind the objective. Archer really needs to be antsy on protecting that.
Good double flash up and over. Does deny Button the ability to peek.
Beautiful smoke.
Yeah, Don just dumps one up there onto the corner. Very well placed. Shuts down Archer, and now Archer aware that someone's close to him, so he has to rotate out. He hears the comms from Don. Don hears those footsteps, and it's a battle of audio information. And at this point, both teams are committing to just going for it. There's a great flash from Don to get Archer blinded. Well, maybe not, because Archer got the trade, so maybe he wasn't blinded, but Either way, a 1-for-1 trade there up onto the second floor. And to your point, Don could take control here of this building and be very effective. He's just got to get rid of the defenders, and that's not going to be an easy task. Scooby shuts down that north rotation. Very far away from objective he is, though, and it's really... Well, it could come down to a bit of a 1v1. If Button catches Woods out, there's really a bit of a time delay there before the rest of the defense can get onto objective.
Oh, Button just barely missing the shots onto Scooby as he exposes himself on the north rooftop.
Yeah, and
oh, wow. He is just under their angle.
He's going to continue this push up. This is going to be information. Woods knows Legel's here. It's going to be certainly a tough bit of battling back. And look at this. Legel's just going to commit. And I think what I heard there was that Legel called out, are you able to revive? The reason he does that is because he wants to make sure Woods has a syringe so that the event that he pushes out and gets downed or trades, that res can come through. And so that's what happened there, and that's why Legel ends up committing to a bit of an aggressive push out and ultimately getting BossFight 2-0. And I mean, again, the aggression on defense for BossFight pays dividends.
Yeah, I really liked the amount of risk they were putting into that objective. It definitely paid off. The idea there I could definitely see was, if we don't kill them, we need to die. This cannot be a cap, because that, again, that objective is, I compare it a lot to the Coyote objective on Bazaar.
Yeah.
There's just, you can cap up, down, back, behind, on top of. I mean, it's so hard. And any defensive position to hold the outside is just so dangerous and pushed out.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. We saw the kills come in there onto the north from Scooby and that defense. But yeah, if it doesn't, it's bad news. It's a huge risk that they take by getting so far away from that objective, because to your point, there's tons of little nooks and crannies to tuck in and punch the code in. Either way, we're on track for a trade of Volk rounds to take us to that 3-3 round 7 decider. And I am all for it. We'll see if BossFight can put together a Marsoc W here and push this lead up just a touch more. Our Silent Purge will lock in another defensive hold, keep things even Steven. This north spawn would lead to some fast action.
I'm gonna cross.
I'm going with Legil. All right. Ollie, I'm gonna die first. Good luck.
This is why we tune into the comms. It's Legil. I'm calling him Legil for 10 seasons.
Oh, really? It's Legil. I've been doing the same thing. Something to note here. This could be final round. If BossFight get this cap,
-1 trying to
I
get
mean,
through.
that brings them up to the 4 and decides this series.
Look at this. Legel is just charging here to get the angle onto Don. Finds one under the suppressive fire of his teammates, and it's opened up north. They have full control here. They can get control of roof. They can take this west side, and it's going to be a similar sort of push to BossFight in the end once they're all in position. Oh, a similar push to Silent Purge, excuse me.
Yeah, you see Archer now partnering up with the duo of Legil coming in from the west side. I imagine their final approach is going to be from the back of the building, and they're going to try to come right up the flank of Button and Scorpio. And if they manage to take both of them down, the closest person is Hoochie. That's going to be risky.
Yeah, and what they're going to do is attack it from all fronts. And again, Radar Head's going to be most likely the one that pushes in from that 2-story ramp and can get right on top of objective. Scooby's throwing out a drone, so he's going to get information on the defensive setup on OBJ, make sure that nobody's up on that roof. He'll find out that Hoochie's there on that plane wing. Maybe he spotted Button up onto the 2-story, maybe he didn't. But the point of that drone was to gather information, radio it into his team, and then act off of it. And I just don't know if Scooby got what he was looking for there or not.
Something to note, Radar Head could actually sneak up to right here on camera 2 and cap from the red railings out there.
Right, yeah, right. That's what I was talking about.
Right
with
under
him.
their noses.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with him pushing it from the 2-story, from the 2nd floor. He can get right up onto that 2nd floor while the push comes in from the west,
Yep.
and the suppressive fire rains in from the roof, or at least from the front, from Scooby's side onto Scorpio. And ultimately, Radar doesn't do that. What Radar was trying to do was jump off of the ledge onto that corner piece and be in through the window. He misses that and now has to kind of reset. Pushes in through the doorway, and Scorpio's here fully exposed, but tucked in behind the objective. Radar doesn't see him on the other side of the OBJ. There comes in the kill on objectives down. Button's going to try and get the refrag, but he's going in for radioed information. Objectives open. Archer can punch in the code. Anybody can.
This is it.
Anybody can enter this in, but nobody's going for it. Archer and Radar. Radar's calling out for the cap. Archer says, okay, it's coming in. The flash is here from Flossie. He can't get the... Oh, it's a nade!
Oh, the grenade! Oh, my goodness.
I'm so good.
What a
Wow,
huge nade.
cleaning
It's
it
not
up.
over yet, though. Lego's here on the bottom floor, and he's looking for the confirm on the Flossie. He can't find it. Flossie doesn't get the last one, doesn't get Scooby. And what could have been a map is ultimately denied with a fantastic frag, but BossFight take only one and stay in this series yet. Silent Purge have a bit of a ways to go if they can manage to come back, but what a crazy map 3 we have here today as BossFight take the lead.
The solid utility going in through that little hole in the wall. I mean, again, this is being played, for those that don't know, in the VR.
Yeah, crazy.
In the VR environment. He had to throw those himself while panicking. I mean, there was no indication of where they would go like you see in monitor games. There was no arc. It was just, he had to throw it just right to get it into that hole.
Crazy to see such good accurate placement of nades, and again, something that you only see at this high level, because to your point, it takes hours of practice. Some of these players have sat in the shooting range and dipped into that ammo box over and over again to throw grenades until they've mastered the arc, until they've mastered all these varieties of throws, the short, the medium, the long-range tosses, and can then deploy those tosses in-game. That great little lob to get it in, that's challenging. It's tough to get the right feel of a nade and toss it right where you need to. And I thought it was going to be a flash because that ultimately denies the vision of the pad. And so it does pause the cap, but the nade did so much more work.
Well, the first one, he actually threw a couple. First one was a flash. And then he popped a nade in there. Oof.
Yeah, and you might be wondering what the oof is, and it's this is a quick spawn for Silent Purge, a spawn that you can sometimes catch the defense unaware of. You can really get rotations out while the defense is setting up. You can find early picks. It's just a matter of taking those shots right away, and if you take those shots right away, you give away a position that BossFight now know, and so you can see the lasers dialed in to this side, to the west side, because they know that if shots are here, it's the only space they could have spawned. And after those shots come in, it's then information everyone sets up. An easy kill comes through. BossFight with a lot of info now up into a 5v4.
I'm looking at the current offensive setup, and I gotta wonder what their final approach is. Flossie way out here, kind of on his lonesome, and then the other 3 of Silent Purge gaining control of gas station with that pickup. Now have a pretty decent staging ground. They could take center burning and gas station and stage up for the final approach there.
Yeah, Flossie, interestingly enough, has the pad out. I think what he's doing here, again, for those maybe not aware of Onward, is he's looking at his tablet. The reason you're seeing him rotate it left and right is because on your tablet you see indicators, you see a green dot of where your teammates are. The tablet doesn't display the whole map, it displays it in a vicinity around you. And so he's kind of rotating the map to see what orientation those dots are, where they are potentially on his map, so that he can have an idea of where his team is before he pushes up, so that when he identifies an enemy, he can instantly take the shots and find the kill. Because maybe something we haven't mentioned is that obviously these teams don't see through walls. They don't see outlines of the enemy. They don't see name tags over the heads. They don't see lasers. It's all off of quick identification of uniforms, and knowing your teammates are helps.
I'm sure it came from here. I think in the basement area.
Kind of watching this Flossie versus Scooby going on over here. If the Flossie manages to take down Scooby right on objective, that opens up a clear line of approach for the offense.
Yeah, and there's a small gap that Scooby could expose himself to. Well, there was. Flossie doesn't take that up, though. He's going to continue to push around. Scooby's more concerned, well, about getting rid of that. Hoochie going down is huge. Dawn finds another, and that's what Scooby's looking for. And it's a 2v3 as this defense gets whittled away. Radar looks for the refrag, and Dawn completely not ready for that. He could have rotated around undetected.
Flossie is approaching the objective unhindered.
Yeah, but he's not going to the right side. He goes in.
Oh.
Killed one capping.
Where Scooby is defending, and now the call that the cap was coming through from Scooby is an indicator that this team was close. They were trying to get a cap on objective. Maybe we should be watching a little bit more diligently around the OBJ, and Radar still actually never even looked back. He just put his full trust into Scooby that kill came in and kept looking for more.
I mean, it's one of those 50-50 decisions there, and unfortunately, he got the wrong end of the coin.
If he had gone outside, he would have had time. If he had gone to that outside corner, the rotation would have had to come through. It would have been at least 3 or 4 seconds to punch in a code, and doesn't happen that way. Instead, he goes inside. Scooby gets the kill, and a little bit out of sync coming in from Silent Purge, simply because Scorpio was so far away when that push was coming through. He's rotated all the way around here, and he should be able to get this res in time. Want to be able to get picked up by Radar. Radar swings out. He almost goes down. Scorpio's going to still get this res.
One is here.
Oh, unfortunate. Scorpio tried to warn him, but it wasn't enough, and they both poke out, exposing themselves and giving BossFight the final kills they need to take the map and the series.
What a fantastic bit of gameplay from both sides. Ultimately, BossFight putting together a solid map number 3 and a couple of great maps there. Subway and Quarantine both 4-1 apiece, getting them the Series W against Silent Purge. This very well could put them in first place again, because this win should bump them up a good bit considering the point gain and everything. But what a great battle to tune in here today for the folks over at Venues, really getting an idea of what top-tier Onward looks like. You couldn't have asked for a better matchup, Sky.
Definitely. I'm so glad I had this opportunity to come out here and witness this firsthand live. And a shout out to all the Venues players coming out that we are able to broadcast to. Watching in that VR environment. I got to try it out for the first time myself last week, and it was a blast.
Yeah, it's a super cool space to engage and watch these matches in. We'll have another one live in just a few hours, coming in at, I believe, 5:30 p.m. PST. We will be jumping in to another Venues broadcast, another very high-tier matchup. I think it's going to be... Take a look at the website. Error 404 versus Raptors, and that's what NA. Today you watch 2 EU teams duke it out. That'll be 2 NA teams battling it out, and a very hype matchup that a lot of folks have eyes on. A pretty split vote on the connoisseur vote, so even the audience doesn't know who's going to come out on top, and I can't wait to tune into that one. But it's a bit of a ways away. For now, a quick shout out to all of our sponsors. There's many of them that come together and offer prizing for our champions. At the end of the season, we have a huge championship tournament, and the winner gets prizes from all of our sponsors, who are VR Cover. If you don't know what VR Cover is, It's a nice cover for any of your headsets that you have that helps add a little bit extra comfort to that cushion. It's, in my opinion, a must-have if you play VR for more than 30 minutes. VRware, also a great company that comes together with us to help offer VRML merchandise, water bottles, shirts with the VRML logo, a bunch of great merch you can buy over there at VRware. Also, cyber shoes, enhancing the experience of immersion, allowing you to run in your play space and in a sense, run in-game. It's a really cool way of enhancing the immersion. And speaking of B-Haptics, offering the full haptic vest to feel the bullets. Another one of our sponsors, ProTube VR. If you want to get that accurate aim, I highly recommend you head on over there and get yourself a mount for your controller so you can stabilize your aim and be hitting all of your shots. A lot of top teams do use the ProTube. It's a key element in some snipers' regiments as well. And last but not least, HyperX, the mic you're hearing me on, coming in from the HyperX sponsorship. We greatly appreciate them. You've seen their ads for their wireless earbuds. You can use those with the Quest because they do have Bluetooth functionality. And so a lot of cool products that we do end up offering our champions, and a lot of great sponsors that come together to help support our league. So a shout out to all of them. And again, a shout out to everyone tuning in today on venues, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. We do appreciate you so much. Please be sure to tune in tonight at 5:30 p.m. PST for another high octane matchup. And until then, my name's been Nightfire, my co-caster, the Sky Joker. We will see you all later.